know these things, I'm teaching these ideas, I'm telling them truth, I'm teaching them proposition. How do I get what I know to transform, to actually become head knowledge, to become whole knowledge, whole body, mind, heart, and spirit? Let me digress for a second. Jesus didn't say love the Lord with all your mind. The Old Testament didn't say love the Lord with all your mind. It said mind, heart, spirit. There is an entirety beyond your head. Knowing the truth means that it's got to become more than just concepts, facts, words on a page. It has to transcend and become more than that. So how do we get there? It's one of the biggest struggles in the world. How do I get somebody to a place of maturity where their world has been transformed by the things that they've heard, and it's not just them spitting out and reciting things and saying what they've heard and trying to act like they know, trying to act like they've seen somebody else act, but how do I actually get it to be heart knowledge, whole body knowledge? And if you actually take the whole verse, Jesus tells you, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. In other words, before knowing the truth, before being set free by the truth, there is being a disciple. The only truth that yields liberty and freedom comes in the context of discipleship. Just as an example of how knowledge without discipleship goes completely wrong, let's go back to the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Do not have a relationship of discipleship through which that knowledge came and end up completely messed up. Wisdom and knowledge that yields liberty comes through discipleship. Discipleship is the relational mechanism with a master, teacher, or shepherd, or an under-shepherd, through which an individual learns how to interact with the truth on an effective level such that their worldview and implicit biases are transformed to resonate with God's divine perspective. In other words, when we talk about discipleship, we're talking about a relationship with an authority figure. We're talking about a relationship with somebody where they teach me truth to the point that it actually changes the way I see the world. And I'm not fighting back against it anymore, but it is a whole life experience. When you look at the way Jesus taught, when you look at the way Jesus instructed, he walked with them. They lived with him. They went where he went, they went where. And when he taught, they interacted. They asked questions. Sometimes they didn't get it. Asked questions, but it was a whole life process. It wasn't a Sunday morning experience. That's not discipleship. It was a day-to-day, I'm walking with, I'm interacting with. And then he sends them out. Tells them, all right, y'all go out. I taught you this. Go out. Work it. They come back. He interacts. Let's talk about what you did well. Let's talk about what you didn't do well. It's not just rote memory. It's not just simply teaching fact, but it is an interactive relationship with a perspective that is being placed in you. Discipleship is the core of biblical Christianity. Discipleship is the primary institution and cultural tradition of the Christian faith. I want you to understand something. He didn't say, if you continue in my word, then are you saved. He said, if you continue in my word, then are you my disciples. Two different words, saved, sozo, disciple, mateo. And the best way of differentiating the two concepts, just to understand what we're talking about, is the difference between a wedding and a marriage. A wedding is an event. A wedding is something that happens in a moment that confers upon you a status. I go to a wedding and I'm married. A marriage is a relationship process. A marriage is a lifelong interactive pursuit. I want you to understand that when I say the core institution upon which Christianity was built was a culture of discipleship. Salvation came as a consequence of discipleship. Before they were ever known as Christians, when you look through Scripture, before followers of Christ were ever known as Christians, they were referred to in the book of Acts as disciples. That's all they knew. That's what they were. It wasn't, am I saved, am I not saved, how do I get saved? I am a disciple of Christ. That was their identifying characteristic and identifying mark. Discipleship, if you do a word search in the New Testament, disciple is used 255 times. Almost every time talking about being a follower of Christ. Being saved is used 57 times. All of those are with respect to salvation, or with respect to what we would consider salvation, which means you have 4 times as many disciples, use of the term disciple in Scripture, as you do saved. Happens for every 1 time you see saved, you will see 4 times somebody being called a disciple. One of the problems we have in modern Christianity is that our ratio of discipleship to saved folks was a little bit out of whack. In other words, one of the reasons why we don't see biblical results, why we don't see apostolic moves of God, is because we got a whole lot of saved folks and not quite nearly as many disciples. We have a lot of people who have a status conferred upon them, and they take comfort in that status. They feel good about themselves, and I just want to get in. I'm on my way to heaven, and I'm so glad. And I'm not faulting anybody for that, because that's what we've been enculturated and brought up under. Those of us who got saved because we didn't want to go to hell, and our major driving force is, I don't want to go to hell, I want to go to heaven. That's what we know. That's what defines us. But what defined them